Hey guys, quite often when we're talking about different topics about Japan, contradictions and paradoxes come up. That video we made a long time ago talking about contradictions and paradoxes. So it's possibly the same anywhere we live. You know, there's often two sides to everything, good and bad, or positive and negative, or whatever. So this is possibly another example of that. One of the best things about living in Japan, or perhaps one of the reasons that Japan is such a good place to live, is the community spirit and the community connections and so on. And out here in the small towns, it's possibly even stronger. And our family, we are connected to all sorts of community groups. So some are via the kids, some are mama tachi groups, which is mother groups, that various mother groups that the unskilled mother is connected to. Other ones are just like the local shrine that has the festivals and things like that. We're connected through them. So it just seems to be endless, all these different community groups that we're connected to, and it really is good. You know, it gives you a sense of community. It means when we go to things like the festivals, you know, the kids always have the kids that they know that are there, that they either know through school or they know through these different groups. And you know, the wife, when I say the unskilled wife, I only say that, or the unskilled mother, or whatever I call it, it's only because that's the running joke with our viewers. And she is a very skilled wife and a very skilled mother. She's a good lady. And she has all her connections too. So inevitably when we go to a festival or something, those guys know everybody, and you know, everybody's saying, oh, hey, how's it going? And I've got a few random people who talk to me as well, you know, hey, how you going? Usually old guys like me will sit around on one corner of the place and have a talk. So it's nice to be part of a community, you know. However, there's all sorts of funny things about it that are part of being that community. So there's a million positive things, and I could make a video talking for a half. I mean, it's just quickly. You know, it's one of the reasons the crime rate's so low in Japan. You know, kids aren't likely to be committing crimes against people that they know. You know, when you know the old man down the street, you're not likely to steal his vegetables, or, you know what I mean? It's one of the reasons that the crime rate in Japan is so low, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of other reasons as well, but that's definitely one of them. So there's a million positive things about, you know, that sense of community is a wonderful thing. Any of you guys who still live in places where you have that sense of community going on will appreciate all the benefits to it, you know. The other side of it is, though, that there are a lot of silly things involved with being part of these different communities, right? One of them is when they come around and knock on the door and say, oh, we've got the festival coming up next month, so I'm here to collect 3,000 yen, right? The festival's coming next month, so I'm here to collect $30 or $40 or whatever it is that they're collecting for the festival. And of course, you don't have to pay that money, you know, but it'd be really not cool to not pay it, right? So you sort of automatically pay it. And quite often, I mean, we've been involved in some groups like that where we've had to pay money for the community group, and the old guys that run that little community group will buy, you know, beer and sit around and have meetings, you know, endless meetings before the festivals where they drink beer and eat bento and have a good time. And you never get an accounting for that money, right? Where the money goes. And quite often we'll have events where you look at it and go, how much did that event actually cost, you know? And you look at how much money everybody gave, and you know, where'd all that money go, you know? It's probably gone into beer and bento. Can you see the guy in front holding up his phone? Anyway, so there's some things like that. What triggered this video is what happened today was the wife has been collecting, she collects all sorts of rubbish, right? And because you guys know we do the recycling thing, and Japan's very good about recycling. You know, we have to take the plastic bottles to this place, and we have to, the paper and the cardboard. I made a video about this years ago that actually ended up on NHK on their Cool Japan thing, the video I made about collecting the cardboard, because it's a bit, for some of us, when at first it's a funny thing, you have to get your old newspaper and cardboard and paper and everything, and you have to tie it up with string into a bundle, and then when it's the day for recycling paper and cardboard, you have to take your little tied up package of cardboard and paper and take it to the recycling place. Actually, there's one up here on the left hand side. You'll see some yellow boxes on the left hand side there, and for this area, that's where they take their cardboard and their PET bottles and stuff. So the cardboard and the paper has to be tied up with string and then delivered to a place like that. Sometimes they'll have collections and they'll come around and collect it. You leave it outside your house tied up in string and with string, and they come around and collect it. So the city organises that, right? So the recycling thing's organised by the city. However, some groups will get you to give them your recycling so they can get some money for their group, right? Which is good, right, for their community group. So it still ends up going to the same recycling companies, but it means the money, instead of the money going to the city, it goes to some community group. So, you know, that's fair enough. The one I like when it comes to this is the scout group. The local scout group has a big, like a, not a bin like that, but like a little room where I can just go down there and back the car up and just take all the paper and cardboard out of the back of the car and just drop it in this room. And then the scouts get some company to come around when their little room's full. A company will come around with a truck and take it and weigh it and give them you know, a few yen for it. Not much, probably. You know, it's cardboard and paper. They're not going to get a lot for it for the weight of it, but they get some money. And for me, that's a really efficient system, because the people are bringing the cardboard and paper and just dropping it off there, which for us is the same as if we take it to the city recycling centre. So that makes sense for us. And then for the scouts, there's minimum faffing, because they're basically just leaving it in this room, and then the recycle company comes along and picks it up. So for me, that scout system is a pretty clever system. However, there's one of these groups that we're involved in, and they said, please keep all your cardboard and paper so that we can recycle it, right? And because what happens is, when you're in a group and they ask you to do something like that, usually Japanese people will just do it, you know. And so my wife said this is what she wants to do, and I said to her, I already take it to the scouts, you know. It's a good system that we've got. We just go and drop it off at the scouts, and, you know, they get the money. And oh no, the group has asked us to do this. And so usually if a group asks, you know, their members to do something, usually their members will go, oh hi, and they'll just do it, right? So she's been collecting cardboard and paper, so our cardboard and paper, and tying it up with string into neat little bundles. And then she was coming home from her parents' house and from other people's family houses with their paper and cardboard tied up with string in the back of her car, and then storing it at our house. And fortunately for us, the old farmhouse, we got a bit of space, so she was piling it up there at the old farmhouse, right? Not a lot, incidentally, but you know, some. And so anyway, so today was their day. Unfortunately for them, it was raining, but the group's day today. So they set up at the JA, which is Japan Agriculture. They set up in the car park of JA. I was going to shoot a video and show you, but I felt a little bit guilty because this video is slightly sort of critical or cynical or something, as you'll see. So I felt a bit rude taking a video of the actual scene. So I'll just describe it to you, okay? So she's put the cardboard and the paper and tied up with string in the back of the car. It wasn't a lot, you know. It was probably might have been 10 kilos of it, maybe, which is what, 10 kilos of recycled cardboard would be worth what, a few yen probably, right? So we've driven it in the car to JA, and they'd set up there, and it was classic. It was classic. Those of you who have been to Japan or live in Japan, imagine, those of you who haven't been to Japan or haven't lived here, you guys would be familiar with, you know, you get the blue plastic tarp, they call it, right? Like we used to have tarpaulins made out of whatever that was made out of. Now they have those plastic ones, right? The blue plastic with the rings in it, and you can use it for camping, or you can use it for putting on the ground, or, you know, use it for all sorts of things. And it's really popular here, right? And everybody seems to have these sheets. And when we go and do, like, you know, a hanami, when we go sit in the park and watch the flowers, or do a picnic or anything like that, everybody brings their blue sheet. And you know what they call the blue sheet in Japanese? burrito, right? Very creative. So everybody seems to have burrito, and when groups do things, because of the paranoia about cleanliness and nothing to touch the ground, right? They always lay out the big blue sheet. So at festivals and all sorts of events, you often get the big blue sheet, and people will take their shoes off at the edge of the big blue sheet, and they'll sit on the big blue sheet and eat their lunch or whatever, you know. And so today we went to JA, and in the car park at JA, it had the big blue sheet, right? And they'll walk up to the big blue sheet with you know, a couple of bundles of cardboard, and they'll kick their shoes off and walk onto the big blue sheet in their socks and put down the two bundles of cardboard, and then walk back to the edge, put their shoes back on, and then walk over. So what happened is we pulled up in our car, and they come over, and everyone's volunteers, right? So there's just mothers and fathers and kids and just people all over the place, and they've all got their orange, because this particular group has these orange sort of smock things, so they all had them on. They all had their white gloves on, their white cotton gloves, and no helmets, surprisingly. And so we've got out of the car, and hey, hazaimasu, and oh, onegaishimasu, oh, arigatou gozaimasu, and lots of thanking us for bringing our cardboard. Open the back of the car, and so they've taken out. We had like 3 bundles of cardboard and paper. Oh, arigatou gozaimasu, thank you very much. And then walk over to the blue sheet and kick off the shoes and walk over and put it down. And so what they're doing is they're slowly collecting this cardboard and paper on this blue sheet, right? And then because we'd brought it, because we'd been kind enough to bring our recycling stuff to them, they gave the kids these little fruit packs, little Tetra packs of fruit juice, and a packet of snacks, right? And they gave the wife a litre of tea, right? A bottle of tea, which even if you bought in bulk is probably about 300 yen. I estimated the cost to them of those things that they gave us were about 300 yen, and we gave them at most 10 kilos of cardboard and paper, right? Which they'd probably get, who knows? I mean, some of you guys might know how much you get for that, but it's not going to be 300 yen, is it? Right? It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And that was sort of the thing that's, when we get these things here, sometimes it's just it's sort of the opposite. The other thing where they come around and collect money for the event, and we give money for the event, and you know, 100 households give money for the event, give $30 each, and that's $3,000. And then you look at how much the event actually cost, and hey, where'd all that money go? And you know it's gone in beer and bento for the old men that run the show, you know. It's not like embezzling or fraud or anything like that. It's just that they use the money up on these expenses when they have their meetings, you know, which is all, that's just the way things are done here, you know. And this is sort of the opposite. This is like, I mean, the intentions are really good, you know, and that's why I didn't want to take a video of it, because I felt bad, because what they're doing is they're all volunteering, and they're all basically doing a good thing, because they're recycling, which is good for the environment, and they're going to raise, the idea is to raise some money for this community group, right? So their intentions are good, their motivations are good, are positive motivations, you know. So it's all good, but it just doesn't add up. When you look at the amount of time that everybody is spending collecting all this cardboard and paper and tying it up with string and bringing it to this place, and then all those people there was a lot of people there. I don't know how many, maybe 12, 14 people, faffing around with these little piles of cardboard and paper, and when you look at how much everybody was bringing, I mean, the other people that were pulling up were probably only bringing 5 to 10 kilos at most of paper and cardboard. And then the same thing was happening. They were getting given litres of tea and you know, Tetra packs of juice and little packets of snacks. And so I mean, it is a positive. The actual experience of doing it makes everybody feel good, right? So the people that are volunteering and doing the work, which we have done ourselves too. We have actually volunteered for things like that before. So the volunteers themselves are feeling good about what they're doing. and the people that are bringing the recycling stuff and giving it to them feel good about what they're doing, and it has a definitely strong sense of community about it, you know, that everybody's hello, and because we knew some people there, and you know, it has a very strong sense of community. So it's all very positive environment, atmosphere thing. But if you take a moment just to look at the logic of it and look at the time that goes into it and do the math, it's just not worth it. You know, it just doesn't make sense. It would be just more logical just to do the city recycling thing and raise money for the community group through some other means that would be a little bit more logical and practical. But this is just what they do, and this isn't the only group that we're in that does this either. You know, we had another one. The wife kept coming home with big bags of PET bottles, you know, those plastic recyclable bottles. And because PET bottles are really popular here, you know, they come out of the vending machines, and everybody, I mean, what we got given today, we got given Tetra Paks, but also a big PET bottle of tea. So those plastic bottles are really popular here, and we do use a lot of them. So recycling them is a big issue. But the wife kept coming home with big plastic bags full of PET bottles. And the other interesting thing is they use, the recycling company uses some scanning equipment to separate PET bottles from cans and things. And so they don't want you to squash them. So when all your recyclables, your cans and your tins and PET bottles and things, you're not supposed to squash them, because if you do that, the scanning system can't detect what it is. So you got to leave them in one piece, which means a big, huge plastic bag containing all these unsquashed PET bottles, right? Huge. So the volume is huge, right? And really, again, a huge bag of PET bottles would only weigh less than a kilo, probably half a kilo maybe, because, you know, there's no weight to it. She comes home with these huge bags of PET bottles, and they weigh nothing. And then we collect them all, these big bags of PET bottles, and then now and again she's got to take them to another place. There's a community centre that she's got to take these huge bags of PET bottles to, and it's exactly the same thing. You go there, and there's all these older ladies at that place. There's all older ladies with their smocks and their white gloves, their white cotton gloves, and collecting all these huge bags of plastic bottles to sell to the recycling company. And again, what would they get? You know, the time that my wife spends collecting all these bottles from everybody that she knows and taking these huge bags of bottles, and, you know, what would they get for them? You know, they'd only get a few yen at the most, you know. So it's really funny. It's nice, you know, it makes everybody feel good, and a lot of stuff in Japan is like this. And they don't think about it, you know, and they don't really want to think about it. So I've learnt over the years not to draw my wife's attention to these things, because in the past I have, you know, when we've had these things, I've done the math and said to her, you know, they'll probably only get, you know, 10 yen for those huge bags that you just took. They'll probably only get 10 yen for them. You know, years ago I made those sort of comments, and it's not pleasant for her. It's negative, right? She sees it as negative. And a lot of stuff in Japan's like this is that if something's illogical or irrational, but it makes people feel good, it's better not to say anything, right? Because, you know, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to point out that it's illogical or irrational, you know. And today was one of those. It was like, you know, the taking that, whatever that cardboard and paper would have been worth, you know, it would have only been, I don't know, 10, 20 yen. What would that much cardboard be worth to sell? Actually, I'll turn around, show you guys something else. I'll show you something else that's really common. Look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this drugstore has this recycling bin, and people can bring their cardboard and put it in that recycling bin, and that gets rid of that cardboard for them, and then the money from that will either go to a charity or it'll go to the company, you know. So that's really common too. You see that all the time as well. So there's lots of people who are onto this recycling thing, but just that the bin makes more sense because there's no labour involved, right? But these community things that they do with lots of labour involved, Way less rational, you know. But it's just what they do. It's just what they do, and it makes them feel good. It makes me wonder if they ever do the math. You know, that, you know, we took 20 yen's worth of cardboard and paper and gave it to them, and in return they gave us about 300 yen worth of drinks and snacks. You know, and it makes you wonder if any time anybody actually does the math and says, wait a moment, probably they don't, because they just accept that this is what we do and it makes us feel good. And the other thing is, most importantly, we've always done that, so we always do that. And that's the thing in Japan. If that's what you always do, that's what you always do, and no one questions it, you know. So, anyway, thought someone might find that interesting. Hopefully someone found that interesting. I did. I always do. Stuff like that, it's always leaves you shaking your head quietly, you know. It's better not to say anything out loud, but just quietly in my own head, I was thinking, that doesn't add up. Anyway, gotta go. More videos coming soon.